Welcome back. The day in the life here. We have a 2020 Porsche Macan GTS. It's a 2.9 turbocharged V6 here. Unfortunately, it only has 40,000 miles on it. We see this too often. Nick's done these, has done McLaren's and all that with the rear main seal going out. Nick's going back with it. They're pain in the butt, the starter bolts, right?
The bottom one.
The bottom. Yeah, it's a pain in the butt. You can do it without pulling them out. They want you to pull them out, but Nick's got a process. Like I said, he's done a bunch of these McLaren, so he's got them down. It's a big, bulky transmission. But why these things leaking? It's very weird. I was talking to Nick about that. It may just be a quality or something to do with the quality of the gasket. Of course, we went back with Porsche parts and bolts and all that stuff. We have a factory tool to put it in properly. Nick does like to go with, and so do I, on the outer edge of the rear main seal. We'll put some silicone on the outer part of it, so it helps seals that to the block just a little bit. It helps with the diesels. If you ever work on a 6.7, you'll know what I'm talking about. If you don't do that, it will leak every time. So we try to incorporate that on vehicles that have low miles on it and they have a failure on the rear main seal. It's on a crankcase issue because it wasn't like it was blown out, like there's too much pressure in the crankcase. It wasn't that type of leak. So he's doing that. He's got a Mercedes GLC 300. It's a 264 engine in it. I think it has 120,000 miles on it. It's the 253 chassis. These are notorious for the valve seats and valve guides. The exhaust valves on these things and guides and stuff, they don't last. So we're getting ahead for it. He'll be tearing this down a little bit. Very, very common. Nick's done them. He'll knock that out quickly. Then behind you, we have a 12 Q7, I believe. It's 11 Q7. 146,000 miles, Q7, Audi. The oil filter, there's a housing where the cooler and filter sits on. And underneath that, there's a gasket, so like a metal gasket. We're replacing that. That's what Nick's gonna do. He's gonna replace that whole piece. Very common. That's the way we like to do it. We do the whole assembly. It's on back order, but we did locate one. And then this Jeep here, we might have to do a video on this Jeep, but let you know what we found out. It was losing communication with the transmission control module. Ended up being the transmission control module relay was going bad on it intermittently. Ford, we have a 17 or 16, I don't remember, Explorer. It's got 120,000 on it, somewhere around there, nothing huge. Oh, I lied. It's a 17 Explorer with 77,000 miles on it. Let me know what you think he's doing on it. I think we all know by now he did the water pump on it. So of course we did the timing chain and all the guides at the same time. New tensioner, motor mount's always blown. We did the belt, we did the plugs while we were in there. So we did it right. He's going back with it. He's about done. He's probably about 85% done with it. He's got suspension and stuff to do. Kevin's wrapping up this 18 Ram 2500. We put an engine in it. It's a heavy duty 6.4 gasser. He's just finishing up a few things on it. He's pretty much got it wrapped up, honestly. Then he's gonna go to a 2020 Ram Cummins diesel where we think we have an injector problem. So he's gonna pull the injectors out of that truck, take a look at it. We'll talk more about that in a little bit. And this little Celica, she wants to do a bunch of work. I'm still putting a quote together for her on that. So we have an 18 Jeep. It's got that 3.6 liter engine. It's leaking a bunch of oil. What a shocker. When it's cold outside, well, it was an oil filter housing, but he's just going over his work, make sure we got heat coming out of the cab and all that, air pockets out of the cooling system. That's all it was. Simple, easy job. Here's that Ram that we're gonna do. We're gonna pull the injectors out of this. That's it for now. What up? We have a 2020 RAV4 PO0128. What that means, we have a thermostat issue. So I'm training Peyton. He's a new technician. This is gonna be a good one because Peyton has never worked in a shop environment, has never went to school to be a technician, and his only skill he's ever had in a vehicle is working on your own car, right? He's been working in the maintenance field for diesels, right? Just diesels. So that's where his background comes from. Only on diesels, no automotive cars. We're gonna prove to you that it doesn't matter what you come from. It's gonna matter what you put into it, is how good you're gonna get. You're gonna see Peyton in 2 years, he's gonna do everything he needs to do on a car, engine, transmission, time belt, pull it, reinstall it. In less than 2 years, he's gonna be able to do that. Watch. Go back to this video, you're gonna see that. So now we're just getting experience for Peyton right now, that's it. Basically, he's in his second week, we're learning the system, how the system works. He's doing just this basic stuff always with somebody. So we always verify the VIN number on a vehicle we work for. Go ahead. Because you don't want to work on the wrong car. That's happened before, is that right?
0450.
All right, and then it says what the job is. And you have part numbers. Does part numbers match? Yep, there's your thermostat. Yep, all right. So, here's you have coolant over here. See this coolant right here?
Yes.
That's the only 3 parts you should need in this car according to what the advisor built it with, okay? We're just gonna work together in tandem, pretty much. There's no sense of throwing him in here and walking away. That makes no sense. He's too new. He'll start having habits that he doesn't know they're bad and continue to use those forever until someone's here to correct it. It's front wheel drive. You can do all on your tablet, whatever when you go over here, it shows you front wheel drive, XLE. So use that for your advantage at used vehicle. And then what are we doing to it?
The thermostat.
So on the quick functions, type in thermostat. See it pulled up to set thermostat there. And then it says remove and replace. And it's gonna give you a step-by-step. It's gonna show you where it's at, an overview. So it's right there, right behind the alternator, it looks like. When you scroll up, it's gonna tell you some hints and stuff, what it does. But we just want procedure. So the first procedure, it says drain coolant. Okay, well we'll get that. And then it says intake removal, then alternator. And then it says disconnect the hoses, and it's common sense from there. So this is used as a guide. Don't follow this as the Bible. I mean, it's good if you get in trouble. As you gain experience, you're gonna glance over this. You're usually not gonna follow it to the T unless there's something that you never done before, and you're not really sure, so you follow it. So you're kind of newer, so you can click on the manifold on here, and it's gonna give you step-by-step how to do the manifold. We'll walk you through it. So let's try to do it without following this, with me helping you. If we get caught up, we'll come this and see if there's a bolt we didn't see, or there's a hose or a clip. But all that's right here for help, okay? All right, so let's use your mechanical ability, your brain here. Just say, look, let's say we didn't have the book. You know, what are we gonna do? We have to get this done. We know we have to do it, so this piece here has to come off. And we have EGR, and there's this EGR pipe here that obviously has to be disconnected, at least from one spot, maybe not 2. Then you have hoses of coolant. You have a vacuum hose here, vacuum hose. Some other coolant hoses running through the EGR. So there's quite a bit. You have connectors going on here. And then we don't even know where the bolts are, right? All this stuff's in our way. You have a bracket here. I'll start working on this side. You work on this side. We're gonna work in tandem. We know if we get caught up, I'm right here. I'll start working on my side. You work on your side. Sound good? And I'll see if you struggle, I'll help you. We got a new technician here, so the biggest thing is he's gonna mess up. We know it, he's gonna break something, something's gonna happen, and we're just gonna allow that. We're gonna try to prevent it, but we're gonna allow him to make mistakes and grow from it. It's gonna happen. We all break stuff. We're all new at one point. That's something. Right there, I'd leave that on.
Leave that on?
Because 1, they're a pain in the butt. 2, it's once you pull the whole intake off, we don't need to touch it.
Okay.
So we can do this little hose here, okay? Yeah, we'll leave that on, and I'll go to something over here, this stuff. If we have to pull it off, I'll pull the whole throttle body and move to the side. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I'll start doing these hoses here, okay? Okay, right there where you're struggling, I'm gonna show you something.
All right.
Sound good?
Yep.
All right, you have hoses over here. Let me show you what the tools are. This drawer right here, which I'll have you organize as you want. There's 3 pliers, okay? There's a small and a medium. Let's go see which one it is real fast. I'm gonna show you how it works. I'll do one, I'll let you do the other, okay?
All right.
Don't grab it with this, you'll tear the hose. The idea is get a good base on it. Once these hoses, once they twist freely, it'll come right off.
Okay.
So you use this to grab it and twist it. If you grab too tight, it's not gonna twist. You'll collapse whatever there, kind of comes right out.
Okay.
Now try that with this one. I was young. Not too young, actually. I probably didn't start getting in the car, so I was 16 maybe? And by 18, I was doing pretty much all my stuff in my cars, doing everything on them. man, I was like 18 years old maybe. It's funny, is I never worked in a shop until I created my own shop, which is crazy. I'll get to another story. That's a story we'll keep hidden for a while till we get a little bigger and we'll grow that out. This is a good story. My story's a good story. All right, let's get this hose off here. Same thing. I have a big one right here, right?
That's the medium one.
Is it? Okay. Because you can, there, pull it right off. Okay. We'll pull this off this little hose here. And it's always a good day to take pictures of stuff too. I mean, go do a picture. All right, so we got a lot of this off right now. The biggest thing is we got to get this off of that. All right. I'm just gonna pull this off. I want to take a look at this anyways. This is the EGR, how the EGR flows from the exhaust into the intake. Curious if there's any crap in here. Doesn't look too bad, does it? Looks pretty good.
Yeah.
Nothing's clogged up at all. Nothing here. Huh, interesting. Unique design for sure. Looks like it's working though. We have that disconnected, we have this disconnected. Obviously, this has to be snaked in and out of here. Let's get the shop air and blow all this crap out of here before we start zipping these bolts out, okay? I'm pretty confident there's a bracket down here that it's gonna make it a pain in the butt to get up. Almost positive. Yeah, I see it. There's a bracket right there. Go ahead and blow that crap out of there. All right, we're almost off here. On these tabs, just lift up on them, and this piece slides out, okay? Right here, see this bracket here? If we left it in place, this intake would not come out.
Yeah.
It's in the way. Does that make sense? I think all we have left is just these. I like to work middle out, okay? Grab that side. See if we can get this out of here with some room here. That EGR is making it a little bit difficult, isn't it?
Yeah. You want to remove that hose?
No. This throttle body is going to be your easiest bet. I might just sling it over here out of the way, honestly. They don't have to take this out unless we have to, you know what I'm saying? You can see what EGR does. Just want to be careful here. Dropping all the bolts. I thought these things were encaptured bolts. Well, they're not encaptured bolts, so if we do this, your bolts will fly. So, learn from my mistake here. That's where assumptions get you in trouble. Don't assume they're encaptured. I should have checked, but not a big deal. It is what it is. It's good to mess up sometimes so you can show him you're human, and you're gonna mess up. I bet you it fell down the bottom. At the bottom, I bet if you tap it down here, you'll hear it flip around. We're pretty close. I see the thermostat. There it is. See where I'm at right now? These things can be pretty brittle, the electrical connectors, so I like to use a pick to kind of get underneath it, kind of lift it up like that, and pull the sensor off. That's a trick that I use instead of using that tag, because it usually will snap. So this hose here, instead of, I could waste my time. I won't make a difference, I guess. Yeah, I'll get it off there. There's only a couple. I have 2 bolts that's out of there at this point in time. So yeah, go ahead and get that off there for me. There you go. So what I'm doing is the hardest one first. You see it back there?
Not yet.
See the bolt here?
Yeah.
There's a bolt underneath it.
Okay, yeah, I see it.
So I'm getting an extension on it. So I get on it. I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna get my magnetic. All right. It should stay in here. All right, there's the last bolt right there. Look at your old one, or new one, compare to the old one. Take a look at that. The gasket stayed on there, so when you get the gasket off and then clean it up a little bit, okay? Then we'll go back with the new one. We gotta take the gasket off there and get a wire brush and clean it off.
Yep, here's the gasket.
Just kind of hit with that wire brush we have. You wanna try to start this? Put it on there?
Yep.
With this one? So set it on there and just start this one, and then we'll do that.
You want me to do the front or the back first?
Do the easiest one first, get some stabilization to it, okay? Don't be afraid to use an extension or a socket too to help you. All right, we need to get a wire brush. Let's clean this off, or an SOS pad or something. Get a clean surface for that, okay, bud?
This part right here? All
This,
right here?
where this meets,
Uh-huh.
we need to make sure it's clean.
Okay.
So it has a proper seal, okay? It's important that this thing start nice and easy. You don't want to cross-thread anything, so they go in there nice and easy. So let's just pour to this intake. So far it's doing good, right? It has a kind of a rough feeling to it. Get torque wrench set to 15.
4 pounds?
Yeah. Usually I just use my gun, but I just want to make sure they feel good and there's nothing crunching or something like that. All right, work your center way out, okay? All right, there you go. So this is where you have to make sure that it goes in easily, just like that. See how it went in?
Yeah, no cross-threading it.
I was going. You don't want to go all the way because you got to get this one tight too. So that one's tight. Okay. All right. Let's go on this. We're going to tighten this up. All right. So this goes here, and this goes here. See, everything's going back. I have 2 bolts left because they go right here. I got no extra bolts left. None. 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 So. That's pretty nice. You got that no spill funnel, buddy? Let's put that on and we'll get the funnel. We'll pull it in a second. So you gotta find out the right lid and combination. So this is tight. It's gotta fit in the radiator. So it's not that one. So it looks like this one. You match it up, and then you twist it, and then it should be nice and tight. Feel that? Now, that's a Toyota Asian green, Asian pink, sorry.
Okay.
All right, so we'll get the scan tool and start this up. We're gonna get it on the temperature, okay? We're gonna cycle it out because it's got air in there, and it's got a thermostat. We got to open up and close it. Probably need to clear these codes because we started the car and we were the lights on. So on these, like a Honda and Toyota, if you have like an engine code, it throws all the lights on the dash. It just goes nuts.
Oh, okay.
You can scan it while it's running, but you can't clear it while it's running. You have to have the key on, car off.
Okay.
So once it goes all the way across here, turn the car off, put the key back on, and then clear all that. Yeah, I like to get right to that level right there. That's a perfect level. It gives it time to expand. So.
And then how will I know it's full?
If it's below that spot,
Okay.
you keep going until you get there. So you'll throw that away and you'll get another bottle. He did good. He's just learning, so I'm not putting any pressure on him. I just want him to see the flow. That's why I did a lot of it. I'll give him pieces here and there. I just don't know, like he's brand new. I don't want to just throw him out here. It's a slow, more just see the process, kind of talk about it, what to do's, don'ts. I mean, I could throw him in there, but then he's really not getting taught what's good, what's bad. Then he could be breaking stuff. He's get frustrated. Just work aside him at his own pace. And if I do most of the job, I do most of the job. It's fine. But he's there working with me. I've done this long enough that works the best. And as I get more comfortable to let him loose on stuff, I'll step away a little bit. But I got to know where he's at, engage him. Like I said, he is very new to this field. So, and it's going to take him a good 6 months to really get a feel for a lot of stuff. Then after that, he's going to get a lot of confidence. About a year hits, he's going to get a lot of confidence and really just bloom and bloom. But it takes, this first few months is a slow process, but it progresses very, very fast from that. All right, Peyton did good. It's our first time working together here. Literally, first time ever worked together. Like I said, this is his second week to be here. This first week I put him next to somebody doing an oil change. He was just doing the inspection. It's all he's ever done is just inspections and oil changes, that's it. But he's always been with somebody. He did good. He'll be a good technician. So you'll look back in 2 years, and be like, this guy knew absolutely nothing. It's not a bad thing, I'm saying knows nothing, just it's where his level is. Like I say, he knows diesels, oil change maintenance, but we all start somewhere. Back at you, boys. All right, so give you a quick little update in the shop. Pretty full right now. David's out today, so we're a little behind actually. So Nick's working on a 13 Range Rover. It's a HSE Luxury Sport. It's a really nice Range Rover. It does not have a supercharged engine. It's just a standard 5.0. This is a first-time customer, okay? He went to some tire repair shop to get his repair work done, which you should never do if you own this type of car, guys. You can't do it because good work is not cheap and cheap work is not good. And it holds true every time. This type of vehicle, you need to have a technician that, well, not only just skilled, but really cares and passionate what they do and has some expertise in the field. You really shouldn't put, there's two reasons, okay? They don't know the car very well. They probably have never seen one or have seen very few at a tire shop to do repairs on. And then the management or advisor, all that, they'll put low quality parts on here. And that's what happened. You go there, you're like, it's not too bad of a price, it's a really good price. Or is it? Because he paid for this once, now he's kind of paid for it again. Like I said, I don't know the history of this guy. All I can tell you is that they went to the shop like 3 different times and they kept throwing parts at it and never fixed it. And now we're going to go over their work because you can't put low quality parts in these cars, guys. You can't do it. It's going to bite you. What you put on these cars reflect how your business is ran. And you use low quality parts. You cannot put O'Reilly's, Napa, Advance Auto, those type of parts on these cars and you expect that repair to work or last. You can't do it. And if you're a customer out there and you're getting work done and if that's what they're using, leave that shop as soon as possible because that is not a professional repair, okay? That's more of a consumer shop for parts, for do-it-yourselfs. They're not really a professional repair parts, okay? That's just let you know insight on that, guys. Yes, some of the parts at O'Reilly's and Advance and all those guys are pretty decent and it's no problem using it, but not anything that you're gonna put in this Land Rover. A drive belt, it will be acceptable, okay? A good quality drive belt. But any of these coolant flanges, hoses, don't do it. So this was already done, and then of course they did the classic. They removed the spring tension clamp and they used a aftermarket worm gear clamp style. Never put these on cars that don't have them from factory. Yes, some early European vehicles had their European style clamp. That's fine. But those newer cars, you shouldn't be putting this style on there. Reuse the original constant tension spring clamps. That's how it's supposed to work. They look like this right here. Don't take these off. If you're a technician, you watching this, these are supposed to be on there for a reason. They actually will expand as a hose expands and recontracts because it has constant tension. As the coolant cools down, it prevents a leak. These cannot do that. That constant contraction, expansion, all that stuff loosens this clamp over time. Give it 3 to 6 months, this will become loose. It's not the right style of clamp. That's why you don't see these on any of the new vehicles, okay? They use a constant tension clamp for a reason because it's designed that way. There's engineering behind it. So it came in for a coolant leak. They put a new radiator in there, a water pump, and they did this also. We get it, Nick sees it, and if you worked on these cars, you know exactly what this is. And how many times you replace this? A ton. They usually break right here in the actual block. You gotta get them out of there because the plastic's such weak. This was leaking, and then while we're back there, the intake's off, we went ahead and took care of this back there for him, okay? Kind of it's doing justice for the consumer because you're already doing the labor to pull the intake. You're doing this. Now, there's a little more labor to do this, yes, but if you know this is a high failure rate, might as well replace it while you're there, because he's already been to the shop 3 separate times. There's no sense of putting this back together and it leaks right after we're done, a week later, 2 weeks later. Let's address this now because it's a main problem. It could be a main problem in the future. So, and then Nick put that on, pressurized it. This thing's leaking from these collars here. He put that on, and then the water pump they put on, what a surprise, some cheap Chinese water pump they got from the local parts store is leaking. So that's what I'm trying to say here is you're better off as a consumer paying for a quality repair at a facility that understands how to repair these right. And it's not a vicious thing that these shops are doing. It's just, it comes down to incompetence at some point, and just a level of repair that you're going to offer. It's just not going to happen. You're not going to get the same repair you're going to get here at some tire shop. It's just not going to happen. So you can't expect that as a consumer. So going in, what's your expectation? If you're a customer, what do you expect the shop to do? I want it fixed the right time for a fair price and not come back. Well, you need to second guess who you're going to, because here lately it seems like not a lot of shops are able to do that because they're not putting good parts on these cars, and it's a common problem. As you can see here, this is a factory pump. Yes, it costs more, but like I said, if your expectations as a customer is, I want my car fixed, I brought it to you to fix it. To do that, you got to use quality parts and have good technicians that can perform the job, do the jobs in the proper steps. So if you have that kind of expectation as a customer, you need to make sure the shop can provide that to meet your expectations. You need to vet that shop. And that's what I see a lot of is we'll get quotes, say, it's higher than this guy over here. Yes, we are higher, but if you want it done the first time and have it done right, or for a human, when we make a mistake, we honor it, we take care of it, no problems. You have to make sure you choose a shop that meets your expectations. And what's your expectation? You want the cheapest repair out there? Well, a lot of shops are not going to fit that bill. You're going to have a lot of problems. You're going to constantly fix that car over and over because your expectations are not in line with what's reality. The reality is to fix a car right, it takes good parts and good skilled labor. So if you're looking for low expensive parts on Amazon, eBay, and just some random guy putting it on, you think that's going to work? Well, do it and find out what's going to happen. You're going to spend more money to fix that problem, to fix the original issue that you tried to cheaply. So it's not my rant. I'm just saying we see this every day, all day. You ask my technicians. They didn't put stuff back right, cheap parts, and they even put a thermostat housing on there we have not touched, and it's not going to last. It's just cheap. I gotta ask the customer what he wants to do with that. I'm just saying, go somewhere that cares about their work, okay? And they're passionate what they do. That means a lot, I'm telling you. So, and what kind of standards and expectations does that shop have? I can tell you out there, I can probably be honest with you. They may be equal, but I doubt there's gonna be very many people that run a shop have my expectations, my standards. I can promise you that. You can ask my guys. My high expectations is pretty much perfection, and they're going to tell you that. You expect perfection, yes. But Nick understands that. He's able to meet that standard on a consistent basis. Bradley, same way. Kevin, same thing. My guys, I understand what the expectations are from me. I have high standards, but they're able to meet those standards because they're good technicians, they care what they do, and they're passionate. You know, Nick is very picky. He's like me. He does not expect anything less than perfection on his work. If he messes up, he's mad at himself. Trust me, he's upset. Their comeback ratio is so low. I mean, it's less than 1%. I don't know how many shops that run our volume can say their comeback ratio is less than 1%. I can just tell you the truth. Comebacks here are so low. I mean, Nick, how many comebacks do you have a week?
Couldn't even.
Yeah, that's so low he couldn't tell you. Same thing, Bradley. I don't remember the last time Bradley had a comeback. It's been that long. Bradley, when you had a comeback? If I had to guess, it's probably been 6 months or a year.
Something like that.
This guy has not had a comeback in probably 6 months or a year, if that. I can't even think of one. So whatever he touches leaves right. That just tells you what kind of work he puts out. Does that make sense? If you're a technician out there, you got to have that kind of pressure on yourself that whatever you do it right. That's what I'm trying to say. That's the standard you want your guys to be on, is not to have stuff come back. And that is the honest truth. I cannot remember a job this guy did that came back. It's been that long. It may have been over a year. A lot of people cannot claim that, I'm telling you. So, and that's the honest truth. I'm not just blowing smoke, whatever, and like, that's impossible. No, I'm just telling you the honest truth. The parts he puts on these cars are factory. I mean, that's a lot of the problem is shops are not using factory parts. We have a Silverado here, and I have a GM factory radiator. Because I know when I put this in, it's going to fit, and I'm not gonna have a problem. So, because I've used it multiple times on every application pretty much, and it makes it easier for this guy to do his job. If I go to O'Reilly's, give me a cheap radiator, no offense to O'Reilly's, but it is what it is, most likely that's gonna come back, okay? Since I know that, I choose not to use that product because I know from doing this for a long time, I've been through that route. There's different stages of ownership in business. As you try the parts stores in the beginning, trust me, you try the Rise, Napa's, Advance. You do that in the beginning. That's everybody, because you can kind of see what level shops are at. And as you get comebacks, like crap, it doesn't fit the business model to do stuff for free. I need to reconsider what parts I'm putting on. And then you try different companies, and then you finally, over experience, you land only on OEM parts and dealership parts, which is OEM. And you realize, oh man, comebacks have cut to nothing. The guys aren't complaining, they're happy. Their parts fit. I mean, OEM parts sometimes fail, but as far as like out of the box, it's pretty rare, but it does happen, it can happen. But the ratio of failure is so low compared to aftermarket. That's the only way to do it, honest to God truth. But this right here, what is this thing? It's a 2018 Silverado, and he's pissing out the oil core lines, and he's leaking from the driver lower side of the radiator. So that's what he's gonna take care of this customer. We did a water pump like last month on it. It was leaking out of the water pump, and it's a first-time customer here at the shop. We put a water pump on it, GM, no problems. But he started leaking coolant on the radiator now. That's the small stuff that happens in these cars. I know it's an 18. That's the difference between a Asian vehicle and a domestic is the ratio of the time period of the faults or repairs that happen. This is typical of an American vehicle. An Asian vehicle, not so much. They go a lot longer for radiators, water pumps, lines, stuff like that. So if you're wondering why like Toyotas and Hondas cost more, well, it's the reliability of them. They last longer with less repairs. I mean, it doesn't hold true in every product, but in the grand scheme, if you had to compare the two vehicles, I have an 18 Tundra, 18 Silverado. I've only done oil changes, that's it, and service, all the fluids and stuff. This guy's got an 18 Silverado. He's already done a water pump. He's already done a radiator and cooler lines on it. Who else knows what he's done before he got to me? So it kind of gives you an idea of comparing an American vehicle compared to a Asian vehicle. The quality is just better in the Asian vehicles. I mean, it's not an opinion at this point, it's a fact. That's the thing. You have to follow data. If data says something, that's the answer. It doesn't matter what I say, it matters what actually is happening. So the fact is, a Toyota Tundra is way more reliable than a Silverado. I'm not trying to hurt somebody's feelings, just that's the data. It's a factual fact. Not discounting, it's not a good truck, but they have more issues than that. They have engine issues and transmission issues that my truck will never see. So this truck from this point forward is going to be breaking down the rest of his life, while my Tundra is going to keep going and going and going, no problems. This will get way more expensive through ownership, as my truck's just going to stay plateaued. This here, I think it's a 2020 van. It's here for maintenance and brakes, stuff like that, just maintenance stuff. This is another rant here, this Nissan. This guy, I think he got it from a family member, but a transmission was installed on this from when he bought it. It came in, it was leaking transmission fluid. Someone put their own hose on there and it was leaking. They had those clamps, the worm green clamps, it was piston fluid. Put a factory hose and clamps on there, it was good. He kept having starter problems. So if you look here, the studs broke. The cable was just laying on here. It was actually starting the car, and sometimes it didn't have good contact and it didn't start. I don't know how the car didn't start. I mean, how it did start, but I'm telling you, it had no bolt on here, nothing, and it was just laying on here and the car was starting. And then they're actually missing the top bolt was gone, so I had to get a top bolt. So just someone else's work that I was telling you about, some hack work. So you got to take it in perspective. So the guy that did this work snapped that stud, said, I'm cool with it. Then he did not put a bolt on the top of the starter. Or let's say he didn't put it tight and it fell out. We don't really know. All we can tell you, the data is there's no bolt there. So most likely he forgot it, but if he got it, if he did put it in, he didn't put it in tight and it backed out and fell out, which is, it's a very possibility. But you got to go through someone's head that did this work. To them, that was acceptable. It wasn't a problem because it let the vehicle go. That's what I'm trying to say. There's a lot of people like that in this industry that does that work and they're fine with it and they can go to sleep and not have to worry about it. That's what you have to avoid as a customer. You got to find those shops that do that and don't go there because it's going to cost you more money. Like this customer should not have a starter put in, but they broke the stud on it. So it is what it is. That's what I'm trying to get at there is preach. This is a nice looking Infiniti. It's been well taken care of here. Just needs a blower motor. It's in good shape. I think the mileage is pretty low on it too. Yeah, 129,000 miles. I'm not sure what year it is, but it looks like a 2002 or something. Yeah, it's a 2002. This thing is in great shape. It's the same thing as a Pathfinder, but blower motor is bad. We're getting a blower motor for it. This here is another example of new cars. Why it's a domestic, and they cost more to own. The ownership for a domestic is way more than you're going to pay for a Japanese car or Asian car. This has 59,000 miles on it. It needs a heater core, so the heater core is restricted on it. He does have a warranty through Carvana, so they're going to pay almost all of it. But the heater core is restricted. Is getting one of his vents doesn't have heat coming out of it. Must have a lot of hours of idling. I don't know. I have to look at it. This guy here, this truck's been sitting at his house for like 7 years or something. They said. I mean, it's been sitting forever. You can look at the back of the bed. I mean, literally, it's been sitting for a long time. Maybe a couple years, but he didn't give me a time frame. But it needed a fuel pump. We got a fuel pump coming for it, but we got to look at the tank on it. Jeez, it's pretty old. But he wanted to rescue it. He's paying to get it done. I'm using quality parts, so we'll have it taken care of. The original part was the Ford pump's been discontinued, so I put a Bosch in there. Bosch is pretty good quality, so that's what I can get. He's waiting on parts right now on this diesel, which I don't know what's going on with that. We've been waiting on parts for way too long. This here is just a simple service. It's Range Rover. Peyton's doing that. So that's kind of a introduction where we're at, guys. So we'll get more going on. But it's been a busy week. Till next time. See ya.